In the quiet town of Strasburg, Virginia, silence once covered a terrible secret. A young mother was brutally murdered in her home. Her infant daughter vanished into the night. And for nearly 3 decades, no one knew the truth. But in 2025, after 27 long years, DNA finally exposed a man believed to be responsible. Strasburg, Virginia, nestled in the Shenandoah Valley. It's the kind of small town where everybody knows everybody. Back in the late 1990s, Strasburg had just a few thousand residents. Life moved slowly. People left their doors unlocked. And crime, especially violent crime, was almost unheard of. But in January of 1998, that sense of safety shattered forever. 20-year-old Sylena Jo Dalton was known by friends as bright, cheerful, and devoted to her baby girl, Allison. She had her whole life ahead of her, until one night, someone took it all away. On a cold winter morning, Sylena's body was discovered inside her home. She had been fatally stabbed. The scene was brutal. Signs of struggle suggested she had fought desperately to survive. But what shocked investigators even more was what wasn't there. Her baby daughter, just a few months old, was missing. Neighbors watched in horror as police swarmed the quiet street. Search teams combed the area. Helicopters flew overhead. Every parent in Strasburg clutched their child a little closer that night. The fear was overwhelming. Not only had a young mother been murdered, but her helpless infant was gone without a trace. The investigation began immediately. Detectives worked around the clock, but leads were scarce. The biggest question, who would want Sylena dead? Suspicion soon turned to Daniel E. Pompell, a man connected to Sylena. According to investigators, there were tensions between them. People in town whispered about him, and rumors spread quickly. But in 1998, there wasn't enough evidence to tie him to the murder. Police interviewed dozens of people, tracked tips, and followed leads. But every trail went cold. The missing baby made the case even more haunting. Was Allison taken by her mother's killer? Was she alive somewhere, raised under a different name? Or had she also become a victim that night? Without answers, the case slowly slipped into shadows. For years, Sylena's family lived with unbearable pain. Her mother begged for justice. Her friends remembered her as a sweet soul who loved her daughter more than anything. And the town of Strasburg carried the weight of knowing a killer had walked free. As the years passed, investigators refused to give up. The case file grew thicker, full of reports, photos, and evidence that seemed to lead nowhere. Technology in 1998 was limited. DNA testing existed, but it wasn't nearly as advanced as it is today. Evidence collected from the scene was carefully preserved, but it couldn't provide the answers detectives desperately needed. By the mid-2000s, the case was labeled a cold case. But behind the scenes, forensic science was evolving. Each year, DNA databases expanded, testing methods improved, and the possibility of one day solving Sylena's murder grew stronger. For her family, it was a painful waiting game. Every anniversary, they hoped for a call from investigators. Every time the phone rang, they prayed it would be news about Allison. But for 27 years, silence was all they got. Then everything changed. In 2025, detectives reopened Sylena's case with fresh eyes. Using modern forensic technology, they re-examined the evidence collected back in 1998. This time, they found something they hadn't been able to before, a DNA profile. The results pointed directly to Daniel E. Pompell. The man who had long been suspected was now tied to the crime scene by science. Evidence that could not be explained away. When investigators confronted him, the past caught up with him. After nearly 3 decades of speculation, they finally had enough to arrest him. The news spread quickly through Strasburg. People who had lived under the shadow of this crime for so long were stunned. Some felt relief. Others felt anger that it had taken 27 years. In early 2025, police announced Pompell's arrest. He was charged with Sylena Jo Dalton's murder. The sheriff's office held a press conference, thanking advancements in DNA testing and persistence of cold case investigators. For Sylena's family, it was both a moment of justice and heartbreak. They had waited almost 3 decades for this day. But there was still one question that haunted them. What happened to Allison? To this day, the baby's whereabouts remain unknown. Investigators have not confirmed whether she was killed, kidnapped, or given to someone to raise in secret. She would now be 27 years old. Somewhere out there, Allison could be living a completely different life, never knowing the truth about her past. The case of Sylena Jo Dalton is both a story of justice and tragedy. Justice, because her suspected killer is finally facing accountability. Tragedy, because so much time was lost, and because the fate of her daughter remains a mystery. For 27 years, Sylena's story was left unfinished. A young mother taken too soon, a baby who disappeared without a trace, and a town left searching for answers. Thanks to science, the first chapter of justice has been written. But one question still lingers. Where is Allison? Until that answer is found, this case will never truly be closed. Stay tuned.